equities market to look at the trading session at the end of trading for this week with James Afo via phone. On the Ghana Stock Exchange was flat. In other words, there was no price change in terms of increase or decrease. We're going to talk to James Afo, who is the head of investment and research at CDH Securities. James Afo, if you are online, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yakun.
Great to have you, James. Now, James, let's look at the session for today, trading session for today. Which equities sold some shares, and then how did the composite index end?
Well, interestingly, today we didn't record any price change. So none of the indicators also changed. And once this is what happened, it means that today has been fairly, over the week, we've been experiencing downward trend price. Some of the equities have already declined in price. So today there wasn't any price. I think it was good for the market.
All right. So in terms of volume of shares that were traded today compared with yesterday, how was it like?
Yesterday was far in excess of today. Yesterday we reported about more than 1 million. Today we did something around 300,000, which indeed declined. Normally Fridays are busy days, but that is not what we expected. Today activities was relatively slow compared to that of yesterday.
All right. Now let's take a look at the trading session from Monday to today. Which equities were gainers and the laggards for the week?
Interestingly, prices have been very stable. It was just yesterday that we recorded two lags, that is ETI, Secretary General, and that actually decreased the indicator further from negative 8.54 to negative 8.99. So if indeed you compare this week's performance to that of last week, I would say last week was better because it has gone down further. We are still in the negative territory.
All right, but we've seen that even at the financial segment, it was doing quite well, but during this week it dropped down. Which equity really pushed it index down, the year-to-date return?
The equities that actually drove the financial stock index down were ETI and Secretary General. ETI went down by about 5%, but it was about 2.6%. So those were the equity that actually caused financial stock index to decline for the week.
We also saw that the market cap that used to be around 61 billion jumped to 64 billion. What contributed towards this huge market cap?
You know, last week there was a lesson on the market, and the market cap is basically driven by price changes as well as number of shares outstanding. So what happened is the company that was listed actually increased the number of shares outstanding. That had positive impact on the market cap, which actually caused a change from 61,000 to 4,000 shares. So it was attributed to the listing of a new company on the main market last week.
Finally, are we expecting some listings before the end of the year in the second half of 2022?
Well, I think a lot of things are going on. Even for us, on our deck, we have some proposals that we have made. Looking at what is happening, it has to do with investors' confidence. Looking at the way things are going, investors have now and their attention to fixed income instrument that offers a guarantee. So normally we do book building. We go around to talk to them if indeed they can actually help by way of buying some of this behind the scenes so that or the of at least substantial amount of stock. So it depends on the confidence level. Once that could be a bid, so not stated. Well, if it happens though, but then I won't be surprised if indeed the company is listed for the year.
All right. Thank you very much, James Afo, for your time. Going for a short break. When we come back, we'll be hooked up with Kwadwo Kusifrimpong, based in the UK, financial analyst, to look at the implications of the happenings within the Tory government in the UK. How would that impact on trade between Ghana and the UK? We'll be right back. I nearly messed up your name with Kojojan.
Yeah, I don't think
You know, you normally come onto the show together. All right, now, Kusi, what's...
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Perfect.
Okay. So, Boris Johnson stepping down as Tory leader. Economically, what factors contributed to coming out to resign?
So, hi, good evening to your viewers. Yeah, so it's been a bit of topsy-turvy, but I can say that everything started way back last year from November when Boris was accused of cronyism. So he had a friend who was also a lobbyist. So the friend was a member of parliament and was accused of lobbying, was accused of being a lobbyist. And Boris, instead of say firing this person, tried to protect this gentleman. And since then, there have been series of revelations from Partygate, so many things, and it's finally come to a head. And finally, the Conservative Party have found Boris not to be useful anymore. They think that he's a liar. And if viewers can go back to the Brexit referendum, Boris was accused of lying then, but it suited the Brexiteers then, so they kept him on. Now they found out that he's not useful for their needs, so they are using the man's number one quality of being a people person and oftentimes trying to be economical with the truth. Now they are using it against him. So that is the, what do you call it? That's been the chain of events. But the intermediate course has always been that the world is ruling from COVID. And the attendant effect is that there's a cost of living crisis. I believe Ghanaians can, Ghanaians back home can attest to that everything is not smooth sailing. So yes, cost of living has been a pain. Boris's own personal, bits has been the bit that has brought him down. So that is the immediate and then intermediate causes leading to Boris's downfall as a leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party, or otherwise known as the Tory Party. Yeah.
All right. Now let's take a look at the interim trade, agreement between the UK and Ghana, which was done under the watch of Boris Johnson June last year. What actually does that agreement seek to achieve?
Okay, so the background is this. When the UK was part of the European Union, at the European Union level, there was an agreement between EU and ECOWAS, and then certain individual countries within the ECOWAS bloc. So now that the UK is not part of the European Union, what they have done now is that they are more or less transposing the Ghanaian agreement we have with the European Union into a bilateral agreement between Ghana and the UK, as opposed to Ghana or ECOWAS and the European Union. So that is, in simplicity, that is how it works. Ghana and UK coming to a trade agreement. And the agreement covers quotas and then tariffs on certain goods and services. And so far, as you rightly mentioned, that agreement came into effect last year. And being a conservative party that is in power or has been in power since 2010, it has always been part of their manifesto. So with Boris in or Boris out, so long as the Conservative Party are in power, this agreement will still stand. It's between Ghana and the United Kingdom, and not necessarily Ghana and a party in the United Kingdom Parliament.
All right. So what are some of the quotas and the tariffs? Which items could benefit from these tariffs?
So the top 5 goods that are exported Ghana from the UK are, clothes, that is worn clothes, machinery and mechanical appliances, miscellaneous chemical products, articles of iron or steel, electrical machinery and equipment. That is from the UK to Ghana. And from Ghana to UK, you're looking at minerals, gold, manganese, and what have you, bauxites. Then you're looking at oil or fuel components, like what we have in Cape 3 Points and what have you. Then we're looking at individual items like meat, we're looking at fish, we're looking at fruits, we're looking at nuts. So Ghana, I know we have a very viable cash crop economy. So we have pineapples and bits that we tend to export. Then we have almighty cocoa and other cocoa products, and we have gold, which is a very massive thing in Ghana. And then, with a very sizable Ghanaian community, we're looking at about over 100,000 and more, because that is the official figures, but there are unofficial figures that we cannot talk about. So we tend to have Ghanaian shops where we export things like meat fufu, and nkulenu, palm wine, and all that. So these are the bits that are captured. And then that also includes goods and services, not just goods, but then it's a comprehensive trade agreement to include services as well. Yeah.
All right. So going forward, with, like you said, the Tory party still would adhere to the agreement that has been signed between the two countries. If you do the assessment from when the agreement was signed, we know COVID has hit both ends. Had there been any massive trade, an increase in trade volumes compared to the 2019 figures of 1.2 billion, pounds sterling between the two countries?
So here, I'm looking at what has transpired is that here I'm looking at a figure of more than the bits that you quoted, but it's not really that much, because considering that Ghana's economy last year boomed as opposed to 2019 or 2020. So we had a mass GDP increase in Ghana about 4.5, but then spread across, I'm thinking United Kingdom is within Ghana's top 5 trading partners in terms of exports. So it would grow, but not by double digits. So, but it's quite substantial. And at the moment, I think we have a trade deficit with the UK.
Okay. Now, so going forward, now we're seeing that there's a lot of struggle for leadership within the party. We've seen the Chancellor, Rishi, Lustruz, and a whole lot, Jeremy Hunt and other guys coming on board to make sure they step into the shoes of Boris Johnson. From where you sit, which guys are, how is it, how are they playing the cards at the moment?
Okay, I'll put it this way. So the last time there was conservative leadership election, that was in 2019. It was the top two candidates. Okay, let me put it this way, right? So the Conservative Party have what we call the 1922 committee. So it's a committee of backbenchers. So by backbenchers, we mean the MPs who are not in parliament, who are not part of the executive. You know, the UK has a parliamentary or fusion of powers. So to be a minister of state or to be a prime minister, you have to first of all be an MP. So those over 100 MPs who are not ministers or part of Boris's executive, those are what we refer as the backbenchers. So they have a committee. And usually what tends to happen is that if there's any general or say there's any leadership contest, 8 people must have the support, or you need the support of 8 MPs for everything to start, okay? Then what happens is that the leadership election starts within the parliamentary party. So by parliamentary party, what we mean is the members of parliament, okay? And what will happen is that there will be series and series of votes until we have the final 2 candidates. So 2019, we had Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy Hunt is still around, so I'll consider him as a viable candidate. But let's go back to 2016 when David Cameron resigned. It was supposed to be a final contest between Theresa May and probably Boris Johnson. But Boris Johnson withdrew his candidacy, so it was only left with Theresa May, and she was acclaimed as a party leader. But 2019, what happened was that it was a straight contest between Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt. So what happened was that those two were the main candidates following on from the parliamentary MP elections. So what then happened was that they came to the wider conservative and unionist associations. So by associations, what it means is that every constituency in the UK has a conservative and unionist association, which is separate and incorporated as separate from each other. So were that to be in Ghana, then it would be that MPP in my constituency, Menchia North, would be separate from MPP in Menchia South. But Ghana currently, everything is fused as MPP and they are branches. So what will happen is that in a few weeks, if the parliamentary party fails to anoint one person, then it will come to the wider group. And I'm a member of the Conservative and Unionist Party, so I am rubbing my hands with glee and hoping that, yes, I'll also get a chance to elect the next leader of the Conservative Party. And by extension, that person will become the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And at that time, when he's elected as Prime Minister, Boris will go to see the Queen and then tender in his proper resignation, because whatever Boris is doing, his government is known as the Queen's or Her Majesty's government. So whatever he does is at the behest of the British sovereign. So he will tender in his resignation, and then the new prime leader of the Conservative Party will be invited by the Queen to form a new government. It's at that stage that we would say that the United Kingdom has a new prime minister. So 2 things: we will have a new Tory leader at the time the party or the parliamentary party or the wider party elects a leader. And then it is only when that person is invited by the Queen, that is when he will be asked to form a new government. And what might happen is that the Queen could say, even the opposition leader, Keir Starmer, could command a majority of parliament. So she might even ask him to form a government. And everything that happens in the British Parliament is done in the name of the Queen. So all laws passed or whatever activities that go on in the British Parliament is known as the Queen also in Parliament. So the Queen has really not lost much of her sovereignty, but it's more about delegation. So these were the bits that we were taught in school. back in our days at Achimota School and the University of Ghana Political Science.
All right. So, Kojo,
all these information is really interesting. Yeah.
Great. So, looking at the tenure of Boris and the relationship between Ghana and the UK, because I remember when he was a foreign minister, he was at the Jubilee House here, and then President Akufo-Addo, about 2 or 3 occasions, also met him at twice in the number 10 down the street. How would you describe that relationship between the two countries? And Boris?
Over the years, as we know, going as far back as the Bond of 1844 until 6 March 1957, over that period of 113 years, Ghana has always had an affinity with the United Kingdom. We had our independence from the UK, and particularly between the MPP in Ghana and the Conservative Party in the UK, there are occasions where I've seen President Akufo-Addo back then when he was in opposition will come to Birmingham where they had conservative conferences. I've seen Sir John and the late Jake Obechebi-Lamte and Sir John back in 2013. So they've been coming for party conferences involving the Conservative Party over the years. So from the time Boris was foreign minister, even under David Cameron, a man of Ghanaian descent, Adam Afriye, was appointed a trade envoy to Ghana from the United Kingdom. And even within the Labour Party ranks, we had Lord Boateng, who has Ghanaian descent. So it's always been good in the sense that even within the Boris's cabinet, there's a gentleman of Ghanaian descent, a very brilliant gentleman, Kwesi Kwarteng, whom I've met before. And yeah, he's written a book. I think everyone should read that book, Ghosts of Empires. And Kwesi Kwarteng is someone who's been a great advocate for Ghana. So we might not think that Boris has had an affinity for Ghana or a soft spot for Ghana, but we have people like this in the ranks of the cabinet, and they've been helping Ghana. But then the prayer is that going forward,
but Kwesi, find out from you, Kwesi Kwarteng, is he considered as part of the guys who might contest for the leadership of the Conservative Party during this time?
Okay, so I'll say that Kwesi Kwarteng, Priti Patel, and Dominic Raab, who is currently the Deputy Prime Minister, they form, or they are part of a group that has the, more or less, is the brain trust of the Conservative Party. So Kwesi Kwarteng, as a young kid, attended Eton College and then Cambridge University for his first degree, studying history, then to Harvard Kennedy School of Government for his master's, and then back to Cambridge for a PhD in economic history. And that gentleman is a deep thinker, and he's part of the new generation of conservatives, including Priti Patel and Dominic Raab. And they've been writing more or less the manifesto and the proposal and positions of the conservative government. So whether he's in the government or not, with him being part of or being a philosopher, so to speak, he's always is going to have his ideas respected within the ranks of the Conservative Party. Yeah.
Now, going forward, trade between the two countries, still we know the agreement has not changed. How do you foresee the future between the two countries in terms of scaling up trade and investment?
So you see, what I'm worried about, if history would be a guide, you know, today something dramatic happened in Japan where, I know I'm digressing a bit, right? Something dramatic happened in Japan where Shinzo Abe, who's been an advocate of US or NATO, was assassinated, right? That takes us back to events of World War I, where Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated in Sarajevo. And now with the war in Ukraine, with UK, just to mention again, Wallace, the defense secretary, is actually quite popular in the UK. So he's someone also people are looking up to. And being a graduate of Sandhurst Academy, not far from here, the UK, in terms of war, tend to gravitate towards a war leader. So Ben Wallace might come up, and with events happening all around, we should be very mindful that we don't go back to the 1911s and 1940s where the world was in turmoil. So these are the bits that, if you are a strategist or a scenario mapper, you have to be mindful of. But let's wait and see. That is all I can say. Let's see who comes up as the next UK conservative leader and by extension Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
So briefly, give us a picture of how life is under. I mean, this period of global uncertainty, where inflationary winds are blowing across the world, and UK is also having its fair share. At the moment, how is the fuel price and food prices treating you guys?
Okay, so I'll say this, right, not in a boastful way, but there were times in the past I'll feel my time even think about how much I'm feeling. But recently I went to the tank and to the pumps, right? And once I was filling my tank, 53 liters is what will make my tank full. And then I was counting. I'm like, whoa, this has gone past 100 pounds. So that is over 1,000 Ghana cedis. I'm like, whoa. So what happens in Ghana? Fuel prices are going up. And you know, you do hear people complain. And here I am, in a way, I'm complaining that fuel prices are going up. And it seems that everything, I'm working from home, so I don't tend to travel a lot. But imagine commuters driving and or taking a train or bus. It is a lot. It's taking a toll on people's finances. I'm not going to lie on that. So, yeah, it is not rosy anywhere. But then more so in Ghana, I'm quite sad that we are going for the IMF. But then what we need to understand is that IMF is a bank and Ghana is a shareholder, and IMF is there to help anyone who has issues. So it's like our penny, so to speak, right? So if we are in that space, we can go. But the conditionalities that comes with the IMF, in Ghana, I know free SHS school feeding has actually helped families to push in their pocket or to put certain money in their pocket. But now be worried that with the IMF conditionalities that are coming our way, they might decide to truncate certain social interventions, and that wouldn't help. But in a way, the government should also learn to live within their means. So it's a global phenomenon, and in times like this, like what the Egyptian days, we need to cut our coats according to the cloth we have, not according to our size. So we need to be measured and austere, I'll say.
All right. Thank you very much, Kojo Kusi Frimpong, for your time.
And thanks for having me.
Great. Wow, we've been talking to Kojo Kusi Frimpong, a Ghanaian who is a financial analyst based in the UK. We looked at the trade between the two countries under the regime of Prime Minister Boris Johnson. That's how we wrap up this week. My name is Edward Nyakun. God willing, we'll come your way again next week. Remember, next week, 13th, will be the day that the finance minister will go to Parliament to present the media budget. And these are the time that the IMF discussions are going. We'll right back, go with the next week. Shalom.